Yes, sir. We are back. Another episode, action-packed episode. Please leave the DJ alone. I am Slippy. I'm here with one of my guys. I've been waiting to get this guy in here for a second. Make some noise. My man, Michael Hooker, in the building.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for spending some time coming down. And, you're one of the guys that I really respect out here doing your thing. And so I can't wait to chop it up with you and grill you a little bit, ask you some questions. I promise I won't use it against you.
Okay.
So, if you obviously don't have ears, my guy is clearly from New Jersey. Actually, just kidding. By way of, why don't you give him a little information on yourself, where you're from, how you got here, and
Sure.
Yeah.
So I am actually from Jersey, not New Jersey, which did spin a few people out when I first did come to America.
Uh-huh.
So I actually grew up there, the Channel Islands, which is a group of islands off the south coast of England, in between the south coast of England and the north coast of France. The small group of islands, and I grew up on the one called Jersey. So small island, great nightlife. When I was at an age where I could start sneaking out and going and getting involved in the music scene there, and then fast forward, now I'm in the States.
So is Jersey then? Is Jersey? Now I'm saying that right. Jersey's like a province or something of Great Britain, or is this a separate set of islands? You just have a great accent, or?
So the islands are technically part of Great Britain. It kind of a little bit strange, whereas like the currency is the same. Each of the islands is self-governed. So we don't vote for the English government. We have our own government. And each island has their own government. It's tax-free, which is a big thing. Extremely expensive to live there, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it's beautiful. There's like a lot of history from the island. I enjoy going home. The older I get, the more I enjoy going back and actually looking at the history of the island. As a kid, it was you grow up around your surroundings. It's just everyday life. So the more I go back, every time I go back, I try to learn something new about the island.
So now, is it something like I'm not gonna say it that way, but is it like Ibiza where you have a lot of inbound nightlife, a lot of inbound travel from other spots around Europe, or is this more like a place where people retire to and kind of enjoy a calmer side of life?
So tourism on the island is probably a bit of like a hot topic because it has kind of changed over the years. The nightlife industry has definitely changed on the island to what it was when I grew up there, and I was fortunate enough to be involved in the nightclub industry from quite a young age. But now I would say that tourism is more hitting towards like families because it's kind of closer to the UK.
Okay.
It still has that kind of like English kind of feel to it. So people are definitely coming to the island for like the beaches and the how idyllic it is. So it's good food. The weather is kind of comparable to Europe. So
Sounds nice. Why are British people so nice? Like,
I'm
really
just not too
nice.
sure.
We were just on a cruise with
Very
him.
polite.
Polite. And,
Yeah.
I mean, we were just on a cruise, and we befriended some older British friends, and they're just really sweet and really nice, and they're always like, you say something to them, and they almost appreciate the American side of things as well, like you being kind of crass, and they like that, as much as I appreciated them being so friendly and kind of,
Yeah, I would say it's funny how in certain aspects, the cultures are very similar, and then in other aspects, how widely different that they are.
Yeah.
I would definitely say from like city to city that England is extremely diverse.
Mm-hmm.
The more that I travel America, I kind of find that as well. That you go to certain pockets where it's just like so vastly different to
Sure.
other cities,
Yeah.
which I like and I appreciate. So.
Yeah. I'm still learning a lot about Britain and all of Europe. I just spent almost a month over there, and it was excellent. Need some more beaches, but at the end of the day, it was a good time. So, I've seen some pictures of you back in the day. We've had some conversations off camera about. Sneaking into clubs early and kind of, as a young kid, just loving dance music and kind of getting in. So obviously that was part of your beginning was just following the music and how and why did you make that transition over here to America?
Okay, so I got involved in electronic music from a young age. Through a friend at school, bringing a mixtape from a rave in Manchester, probably like 1991, and I'd heard kind of like electronic music that was kind of bubbling through. Is definitely kind of getting a little bit more familiar around that time, with the explosion of house music in the UK. But that mixtape was literally just like the catalyst to everything. For me, that was like, how do I get involved in this?
Sure.
Just how do I get involved in it? It's just like everything around it was just like so different to anything that I'd grown up with, music wise. All of my cousins were really into more band music. So where, before this, I was listening to like Metallica and
Sure.
like a lot of metal.
Same, yeah.
My skating days was that kind of stuff as well. And my parents weren't really, I wouldn't really say that they listened to music, but they weren't really into music. Like some
Yeah.
families will be like, oh yeah, I grew up in a household where like my family just listened to music all the time, and,
Right.
and that's how I got into it. I wouldn't really say that was my kind of upbringing. This tape was like really the catalyst to like, I've not heard anything like this, and it was just like mind thing.
Sure.
So at the same time, a good friend of mine's older brother, he was like 3-4 years older than us, had a set of turntables. So he was kind of going out listening to house music, and we would just start playing around on his equipment.
Yeah.
Had no idea what we were doing. I was going to like youth club at the time, so they had like the old. Do you remember like the old disco setups where it's
Like
just
the rotary
all
knob?
in one?
Yeah. Not even the
couldn't-
Gemini before the Gemini
like
shit.
belt
Yeah.
driven, like no pitch, no nothing, like
Wound up.
7-inch. Yeah,
exactly.
And they would like bring like like new 7 inches at that time.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like playing around with that and thinking I knew what I was doing and had no idea. But it was like, it was never on the basis of like, I want to become a DJ. This is what I want to do. It's like I had no idea around any of that kind of side of things. It was just like it just I kind of gravitated towards it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of played sports at school, but I wasn't really into playing sports. It's more doing it because everyone else was doing it.
Yeah.
And this was just like my thing, where I was just like, this is just I just enjoy doing it. So I started playing more with my friend on his brother's equipment, and then we got the opportunity between the two of us to go DJ what would have been the under 18s nights on the island. We had no idea what we were doing, so it probably sounded horrific.
No one knew
But
anyways.
no one knew. Everyone was out, and just having a good time. But we were quite fortunate enough to have another guy. His name's Daniel Mullin. His brother was actually part of a well-known electronic act called Hybrid. They did kind of like very breaks, like electronic breaks, and he would be the main DJ at the under 18s. So he kind of took us under his wing and showed us what to do and stuff like that. And at the same time, so I would have been around about 14 at the time. The venue that we were doing it at had a venue next door that was doing all night raves. because that's what was happening there. So they were having like DJs like Carl Cox and just like all the big boys at that time were coming and playing there. This venue held like 1,800 people, 10 till 6 a.m. in the morning. Just like
and it was all ages, or this was
no, this was over 18s.
Oh, okay.
But we would sneak in.
Okay, yeah.
So that was kind of like my baptism by fire of just like, wow. I've gone from watching, friends run around the school disco kind of atmosphere, kind of dancing to music, but not really probably getting it, to all of a sudden,
here's how you do it.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the sweat, the heat, people, obviously...
Extracurricular
recreational activities going on.
Yeah.
Lots of water being drunk by lots of people.
Yeah. And I mean, this was what like probably like later 90s you're talking about?
No, this would have been like 93, 94.
Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of got into it from like a very young age.
Sure.
But yeah, that was kind of me really breaking into, right, I kind of learned. We used to start just watching these guys DJ, just be like, what are they doing? Where are they getting this music from?
Just a mystery when it was still a mystery. Yeah.
Well, it was like you'd hear a track and it's like, where can I get that track?
Yeah.
And it was that time where that, like these guys would just be getting the promos, the white labels.
Yeah.
And it was that you had to go to the clubs to be able to hear it, and it would be like I would start using my pocket paper round money to start buying records.
Sure, yeah.
But it'd be like going into the record shop and going, oh, that track that goes like...
Yeah, and he's trying to sing it to him.
Yeah. Fast forward, and I worked in a record shop a bit, and I would have that done to me as well. I'm just like, it's just, torture, but funny at the same time.
Yeah.
So I kind of really, really just immersed myself into the culture. Just the scene as a whole, and how you would just have all these people just coming together for the music.
Yeah.
They're all just inhibitions left at the door, coming in and just having a great time. And that would be it. It would feel like a family, like everyone together, you get to know different people. And
it was a lot more intimate, for sure.
It was intimate, but I feel, it's like it got to, my mum knew that I was going, and my mum, some of the people that my mum worked with would be there looking after me, yeah.
They knew what you were doing. She knew what you were up to.
Yeah, she knew what I was up to. So, yeah. But yeah, so I was doing that. I just got really absorbed into it, and then started DJing and was still at school and at college, and it's just like college was just not really for me. It's kind of like for me, I that's what I wanted to. It's like how do I do this for a living?
Sure.
What do I do to do house music for a living?
Yeah. It's a vague question. It's a broad stroke for sure.
Yeah. So I kind of went to college for a bit, and I was just like, this is just a waste of time, At that time, my careers development teacher was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to learn how to make this music. And they were like, well, we don't know where to send you, because it wasn't a thing at that time. It wasn't like, oh, you would need to go there.
Analog, outboard gear. I mean, even to make that kind of music you had to be a scientist.
Absolutely. Yeah. But there wasn't like, like you have now, where you've got, Point Blank, or you've got these places where you can go, I'm going to go study music, but I'm going to specifically go study electronic music. There it would be like, oh, you want to go learn the violin? Oh, yeah, you could go to this. You want to go learn piano? Yeah, we could send you there. But like, you want to go learn to make this music? They're like, we don't know what to do.
Sure.
So it was very much like, right, I was in a kind of like a state of like, well, what do I do? I felt like the odd kid with a weird path and a direction that I really wanted to follow. So as I said earlier, the island being tax-free, the finance is like an obvious choice of a career to get into. So I started working in like offshore banking for a little bit of time, and I was throwing parties at that time, and you know,
Sounds shady.
finding my feet. Yeah.
But I'm still in.
Punching digits and doing that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then I had the opportunity to run one of the main clubs on the island. So I was like, bye, banking.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to go do, you know? So yeah, I took over a club at the time called The Venue, and I started booking all the DJs for the Fridays and Saturday nights. And so that like really threw me in the deep end of like, you know, meeting and networking with like a lot of like, you know, the world-class DJs at the time. And I was getting like TV companies to come in that were doing like the rave footage on certain programs in the UK. They come and film some of the nights.
Oh yeah, like late night recap videos
yeah,
and
that
stuff.
kind of thing. So yeah, we started working with like some of the big super club brands at the time. So like Gatecrasher, God's Kitchen, Ministry.
Big names. Yep.
Yeah, we were doing like you know, bringing them in to do like label parties or you know, just brand, you know, like a Gatecrasher tour night or whatnot. And yeah, I did that, and you know, off the back of that, I started kind of touring and playing at different, you know, venues around the world. You know, hiking vinyl, you know, across the Korea and back, and
Those are right there.
Yeah, you don't know that you're a DJ until you've tried to look cool, lugging 2 record boxes through a full club from the front entrance to the back when it's packed.
You had to earn it. You had to earn it back in the day. That's for sure. It's way different.
Yeah.
On top of not just the physical aspect of it, but I mean, again, you're paying $10, $12, $15 sometimes for import records back then. I mean, it would really break your bank account.
For one track.
Yeah, for one track.
That's it, you know, and but you wanted that track, you know.
Yeah, it was part of your identity, yeah.
I a funny story around that. I actually got a US import of Josh Wink, High State of Consciousness, when it come out on Strictly Rhythm in the US. I paid, so it must have been about the equivalent of like $20 at the time. So it's a lot of money for me as like, you know, a kid just doing a paper round and not really having money at that time. And I went and played it in the club on the under 18s when I was still doing the under 18s. First time that I played it, blew through all the speakers in the club.
No shit.
yeah, with that high 303 sound.
Yeah. It's a classic record too, man.
Great record.
Hell yeah. So you're touring, you're moving around, you're dealing with some bigger labels, some big brands. How do you land on AZ?
So I moved from Jersey to the mainland UK. I felt that I'd done what I could on the island at the time, and I felt like I was becoming like a big fish in a small pond. I wanted to be, you know, the next seat was to be the small fish in a big pond again, and tried to do the stuff in the UK. So I went there, you know, carried on playing and doing stuff, and then I actually come for a vacation for 3 weeks to the US at a time not long after like the first major recession. I met a few people in Arizona. Was lucky to play when I come over. I actually played for Tommy. I played for Tommy at Barsmith at the time when he was doing the stuff there. Went and played at Beauty Bar in LA.
I've played there. I was just telling somebody about that's strange.
Yeah,
I was literally just telling my guy over here about Beauty Bar. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And that was good. That was the Coachella weekend. So I was playing in this in Beauty Bar, and I'm there, and that was the time when everything moved to CDs. So no lugging vinyl, but it was CDs, and so I was like, right, I need, it would have been like the early pioneers, but.
Yeah, even that, or even they had like the CDJ 200s, those big gray bricks that.
Yeah.
They didn't even have anything.
They had none of it.
Yeah.
They had it was the Tascam drawers.
Yes,
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So I turn up to do a whole set, and they're like, everyone else is playing vinyl, and I'm there like. Right, so I have to. Yeah, and remember, it's like those weird jog wheels.
Yeah, the small, the big. They were bigger. Thing. Oh, are you talking about the smaller ones? There was the big 4
So just on the front of it, I'm trying to mix on that. Like.
Oh, you're talking about the Tascam rack one with the little teeny 1 inch. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
That's a struggle.
So I did a 90-minute set on them.
No shit.
Yeah. not known to me, but Justice are in there at that time because they'd just been playing like the Coachella week.
Yeah.
So it's like off week, and they were there, and I was just like,
You got to rip
wow.
it. Yeah. Better you didn't know up front. Yeah.
So off the back of that, I kind of made some friends there, and then the market kind of started to move in a bit of a pay to play kind of sense in the UK. The club scene had gone into a bit of a weird place where promoters were just booking DJs on the basis of if you sell 50 tickets, you can come and play for us.
Yeah.
And it was happening more and more and more and more. So I had the opportunity to go for my artist visa for the States for the first time, which I got, come over, and then I'm now on my fourth. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's a wild story, dude. I didn't
Yeah.
know all that. I mean, you're one of the guys that I really respect because you're a businessman, and obviously, a lot of people don't know this, but I run a couple hotels and venues that you also do events at and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and they've come to me and say, we're Xing you out for Michael Hooker, and I'm like typically someone would be ass hurt about that, you know what I mean? But I'm like, right on, because my guy's a businessman. He's gonna make this shit happen. He's gonna throw a dope party. The sound's gonna be dope, right? So it's interesting to hear your story because you started as a guy who's saying, hey, how do I get into this industry? And you kind of found this niche or this thing of like, okay, now I'm booking guys, and it almost seems like you learned more of the business side of things, up front, which in my opinion as a DJ has been invaluable to me because putting asses in seats and knowing the business side of things is so valuable, especially in today's, ecosystem of DJs.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Maybe talk a little bit about your, your company and what you guys do and what you're here to do. And
Sure.
I mean, you do a lot of rooftop cool shit I've seen,
Yeah, so as Resound Music, which is the record label, everything that we do is really fundamentally based around the label. And for me, it's all about locations. It's like, for me, people are looking for an experience, but they're also looking to feel that they're welcome, that they're part of something.
100%.
And I feel that, that is something that really gravitated me more so into the music culture, was how welcome, and you felt like when you went out that you could go out on your own, but you would feel safe going to this brand because you would know the other people there. So you didn't feel that I'm walking into like a venue where it's like, I don't know anyone, this feels a little bit weird.
It's like Crips versus Bloods or something like that.
Yeah. Or, just like, it's like my ethos around, throwing parties, the label, everything that I've always wanted to do is kind of like, everyone is welcome. We want to do a positive environment. We want to work with people that are also the same. They come from the same class.
Yeah.
And you just you feel welcome when you meet these people. You feel like you're part of a community.
Right.
And sometimes I feel nowadays that can be lost on like a new generation of what is it that they're looking to get out of becoming a DJ.
Sure.
So it's like,
they've been exposed to some different shit than we have. You know what I mean? And I 100% agree. Like the community, is, and I never thought I would sound like a hippie kind of, but like the community is everything. And it was, you could go to these different little cliques, I guess, back in the day, but even so, it was still more. There was like, I remember back in the day, there was Desert Trance Society, right? DTS. And you knew what you were getting when you would go to this. But everyone was still welcome and everyone was, having a great time. But now I feel like the younger people are so exposed to a different set of stimuli. I don't know if I said that right. But like it's almost more about the clout or about, I don't know, man. It's a different set of things. I feel like when you lead with community and you lead with that, that you're bound to have a success. And I think that's something that a lot of younger people don't understand. Like, how do I get on with you? How do I DJ for you? Well, start your own community. And then, you know what I mean? Like, stop worrying about me, stop worrying about you, worry about this community and build a platform. Do you agree?
Or turn up.
Yeah.
And, you know, number one is turn up.
Turn the
party.
Yeah.
But then also, it's like, for me, a big part around that is like, which bit of the puzzle are you? Because if I've already got the sky, I don't need another piece of the sky. I need another bit of the puzzle where you fit.
Right.
So, and I think that some people don't get that. You know, it's like, you know, like I mentor a few guys with music production, but also their kind of path as well. And I try to steer them around stuff that I've learned over the years and maybe stuff that I would go back and do differently. But one thing that I'm, you know, always trying to express to people is that one of the biggest things that anyone is really looking for is that you bring something to the table that is slightly different to what other people are doing.
Sure.
Because they're already doing it. So
Right.
we don't need another one of that person. We
Right.
need something different. So how are you going to be that? But then, like you mentioned around like a new generation, it's kind of like the logo isn't important. All of that stuff will happen. It will come.
Right.
The most important thing is like learning your craft, getting out, and just watching. You know, if you just want to start DJing for a hobby, just do it as a hobby.
Right.
You know, people seem to have lost that nowadays.
You're still
you
a
know?
DJ if you do it as a hobby. Just do it as a hobby and get out of
just
my
do it as a
fucking way,
hobby.
respectively. But
Yes, yeah, but I agree with you. It's
Yeah.
kind of like there's a very big difference between you being a working DJ like I am, like you are, and what you do pays your bills, to you being a DJ where you are not wanting that to become the final thing.
right.
You know?
And I think just as much as it's okay to be that on that end of things, a lot of older guys and older DJs and cats that have been in it for a while make people feel bad about wanting to do that. And I don't think either one is greater than the other one. If that's what you want to do it for a hobby, do it as a hobby.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, who am I to fucking tell you you're not a DJ? You know, if
Yes,
you could,
yeah.
you could got Spotify, you're a DJ at the
Yeah.
end of the day, but or a selector, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. But I think one of the points that you're making here that and you've said it eloquently in a different way that a lot of guys I talk to, how do you add value? What value are you
Yes.
adding?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if I've got a bunch of guys, anyone can mix these fucking records. Let's you know, you
Yes.
can't, like, let's be clear
Yeah.
about that. Anybody can play two records. How you do it and how you put your touch on it and how you add value to my machine, because my machine is so that all of us can eat. You know, I got
Yes.
40
Yes.
something people on my
Yeah.
machine right now on my team. Like, how can you add value that these 40 people aren't adding value?
Yeah.
And what's different about that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a great point.
I agree, and like you just mentioned, you know, about like anyone can, you know, the blending two records together now is much easier than when it was with vinyl. You know, you know, and technology evolves. You know, it's like much easier to make a phone call now than it was
Sure.
like, you know, once upon a time. That you know, we all like the evolution in technology. And I love playing on the CDJs. You know, I love being able to turn up with just like some USBs and a set of headphones. And
Yeah,
I
it's
don't have
nice.
to cart vinyl through a club anymore. That being said, you know, you could give 20 different DJs the same 20 records. One of them is going to play the best set.
Sure.
And that's what you're looking for.
Right.
So it's like how and why did that person play the best set and what did they do to do that? And most of the time it is the people that have gone and they've just like really learned the craft and they've gone back and they've learned the history and they've just really, again, just got overly obsessed with culture.
And sometimes it's the younger folks now.
Yeah.
I was being rigid for a while. I'll admit that. I can admit my faults. When I first started, the first year of sort of the hot chick, I thought I knew everything, and I still think I know everything for the record. But it's okay. At least I know that. But I loosened up the restraints, and I started tapping into some of these younger cats, guys and gals, and they're really impressive because some of these kids, and I don't mean kids, but some of these younger DJs, their parents really instilled in them a lot of fucking musical knowledge,
Yes.
and so
Yeah,
now they're coming like they've obsessed with it, like
Yes.
it's at their fingertips, and so it's built into their fiber now.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times they'll come and they'll say shit to me, and I'm like, how do you know that fucking record? Like you
Yeah.
weren't even born yet, and I sound
Yeah.
like an old man, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool when you see that because you
Yeah.
realize that they're taking it seriously. They're rising above the top of everyone else who's doing the little wrist flick fucking tech house thing, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's cool, and I appreciate that. And now I have a well-balanced team of older veteran type people that if they got to turn on a dime, they can turn to open format. And I got younger people that can do that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think that, the knowledge is the thing that you can't just download. That is what takes time.
Right.
And that I think is the stuff that some people obsess over, and they're the ones that you can kind of see that, it's like the light bulb is going all the time. They're finding new music, they're finding new artists, they're finding a new artist that then takes them down a rabbit hole into a load of other stuff.
Yeah.
And they're the people that come to you, and they play sets where you're like, I don't know any of this, and it's great.
Yeah. I've had a few of those moments.
And to me, they're the jigsaw pieces. They're the missing jigsaw pieces, because they're the ones where I'm just like,
How do you build around that? How do you give more juice to that?
Yeah, exactly. So, but they're the ones that are out there. They're looking at what everyone is doing. They're finding their path.
Yeah.
And they're doing a good job at it. And like, it is trying to find those diamonds in the rough, and that's where you build your community around.
For sure, and it's got to be tough. I mean, I've talked a lot about this with guys. Most of the guys that have had in here so far have been older veteran type guys, and I was always ask, how do you stand out in today's DJ world? If I was to today the same guy Michael Hooker was, I want to fucking make house music.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can go online and you can take one of these courses and stuff like that. But how do you stand out to a guy like you? How do you get your attention? I mean, is it as easy as just walking up at the function and going, "Hey, I'm a new DJ and I want to be involved," or is it something that they have to pop up on your radar and you invite them to the events that you're doing?
It's I would say it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. There are definitely guys that I've met out that have had the conversation and then they followed up on a Tuesday, instead of just hounding me when you're in a club and the sound system's just pounding and they want to continue. Just like, if you are serious, hit me up on a Tuesday, hit me up on, midweek at like a time where, we can have a little bit of a better conversation around it. And then, one thing that, and this is kind of old school, but it's something that, we tend to do with our parties, is that if we're bringing someone new in, we want a demo mix from them, a 60-minute demo mix of what they would expect to hear when they're walking into the club.
Perfect. Yeah.
So
playing for you, they would expect at your function, right?
At that time of night.
So it's a way of you pre-qualifying these people to almost understand what your brand is, what type of events you're putting on your show. You're basically asking in advance, are you interested in just becoming a DJ and doing cool shit, or are you interested in this community and what I'm doing as a whole, right?
Yeah. It's like, because everyone wants to be the headliner.
Right.
But can you be the guy that's playing or the girl that's playing first and nail that slot and
play your position? Yeah.
I mean, because that's the hardest slot of the night. In my opinion, anyone can go in and just throw out bangers.
Sure.
Like, but like you doing an opening slot, like, in a club where it's like people are just walking in, they're probably not just heading straight to the dance floor, they're going to the bar, they're meeting their friends, they're socializing.
Right.
So how do you keep the music at a level where I'm like, damn, this is super hard right now, you know?
Sure.
Or it's just like vibey and you're just creating the vibe at that time. And I think that is, you know, like a big thing that I look for. When it comes to the other side, like the label side, again, it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. We get sent a lot of demos, but then I'm also reaching out to
Looking at
new
people
artists
you
that I
listen-
find.
yeah.
Oh, all the time, you know. Like I said, you know, I will rabbit hole a lot on music, and I will find new people where I'm just like, where have you been? You know?
Yeah.
And then most of the time, then I'm like reaching out and going, I'd love to get something from you for the label.
Yeah.
So
I kind of do the same thing. You know, I if I do a hiring fair or something like that, I think one of the biggest things that most younger DJs or artists miss is the ability to function like a business person. You know,
Yes.
like respond to an email, please respond. Don't call me boss.
Or bro.
Fucking, you know, or bro, don't fucking bro me. I got enough bros. Like,
Yeah.
I'm judging you. I'm judging you straight off the rip. I'm judging you on your grammar, and then we can get to the DJ shit. Then we can get to
Yeah.
okay, did you make an actual mix for the person, you know, that you're talking to? Or I did this thing last week, and they asked, well, how do we get hired on by you? I said, well, have you been to my place? They said, no. I said, well, then you're not fucking hired. It's
Yes.
that simple. So, like
Yeah.
you said,
Absolutely.
turn up, pull
Turn
up to
up.
the function.
Yeah.
You know, buy my guy a drink, maybe. If he's
Yeah.
not drinking, don't buy him a drink. But don't fucking chat him up and be like, hey, I'm the best, this, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm trying to do a set and there's,
Yeah.
you know, 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It's, you know, situational awareness is a
But,
big
but
thing.
like you just said there with the hire fair, or you looking for people, you know, I understand that there are going to be different people that you're hiring that, you know, you don't expect them to turn up if, you know, they're like just coat check or, you know, they're doing the bar or something like that. But like, you know, like you said with the DJ side of things, it's like it's a business now.
Yeah.
It is fundamentally to that point now where it's like you said, you know, a well drafted email goes a long way. You know, you being polite, you being personable, you turning up. You know, maybe you've seen that person like 4 or 5 times in, and they can beat you. Oh yeah, I've seen such and such play. I saw this happen. I say so. Instantly, you know that they're part of that. You've seen them there. Is the step forward. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that guy is saying, yeah, I've never been to your club, but I would love to come play. It's like, well, how do you know what we play?
I literally talk about, you know, how do you know you want to work for me?
Yeah.
You've never come out, you know, it's again, you question where they're coming from, why they're doing what we do. And I think that, you know, stuff like this where we're creating content, we're having this dialogue is going to help push forward a lot of those people. You know, I was in the club the other night and this girl, she holds up her phone and it said, Fred again, ? And I'm at the Hot Chick, my spot, and we played the YMCA. We're a fun, open format, sing along type of place. Now,
Sure.
I love Fred again stuff, some of his stuff, and then I said, I mouthed to her, stop doing that shit, first of all. And then she held up Flume. And I said, baby girl, come over here for a sec. She comes over and I said, listen, you seem like a nice person, okay? Stop doing that shit.
Yeah.
First of all, stop holding your fucking phone up, you know, but also if you're in a spot as a consumer, as a DJ, anywhere, look around you. What's going on? If we're playing fucking YG or we're playing Dr. Dre or we're playing
Yeah.
some shit like that, more than likely Fred again's not going to
Not
fucking
happening.
slide in there.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, awareness of who you're dealing with and what you're doing.
What the party's about, and you know, there is different kicks for different folks. You know, and I feel that everything plays a part in the right environment. But I 100% agree with you that there is, I don't know, that happens more often now than before. Where, and it's not just there. It's like, you know, I've seen it happen in restaurants where people go in, they're like, I'm not really, you know, feeling anything on the menu, but could you make me this? And it's just like,
the fuck are you talking about?
it's so strange. But again, I've seen that in clubs as well. You know, I've been in clubs where people are just playing like full-on techno, and the person's holding up on their phone like some, like, you know, dubstep thing, and it's like, where in the last 2 hours have you thought that this is going to be moving in that direction?
Well, it's not respectful. I mean, I don't think people intend to do anything like that. But I always say, you know, do you go into the kitchen at a fancy restaurant and start putting salt and pepper on the fucking filet mignon? You don't.
Absolutely.
So don't hold your phone up, because I didn't just pop up here. You didn't
Yeah.
just pop up here. You work really hard to be here, and you know, I think that now that the technology is so readily available, the quality or the perception of the DJ to the consumer is lowered,
Yeah.
right? Because everyone's friend Jake is a fucking DJ in their bedroom, right? So they just assume that, you know, now you're out here at the spot and it's Saturday night that I can tell you what to play just like I'm going to tell Jake, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I think we got to correct that because I'm tired of those fucking phones being in the air.
Yeah, I like, for me, I think that's why we've tried to cultivate a party around the sound.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we do house music, but we do a specific sound of house music. So if you come to one of our parties, you know that we go maybe a little bit left and a little bit of right, but you're not coming and then all of a sudden you're going to be hearing Fisher, or you're going to be hearing that style of house music. That's because that's just not what we do.
Right.
But there is places out there that you can go to and you're going to be able to hear that. You know, we very much stay in the lane around what we want to develop the party around.
So what is I mean, and correct me if I say this, resound?
Yeah.
What is a resound party? I mean, sonically, visually?
So like sonically, I would say that we're very much like a European style house / techno. And I'm going to use techno in the sense of like, we don't go the 135 techno.
Yeah.
We're more of the like maximum kind of 128 musical side of techno. You know, there'll be a little bit of progressive house in there, a bit of Afro house, a bit of deep house. But it's all kind of packaged around the sound that we gravitate towards.
Yeah.
So that's why for me it's very important that, you know, we vet the DJs, because when you go, oh, we do house music, you know, someone, oh, I love house music.
It's a
Oh, I
broad
could come play for you.
Right.
And it's like, what style of house music do you play?
Right.
Because, you know, there's many different flavors, and you might do a great job in the flavor that you play, but that's just not our flavor.
Right.
So, and some people understand that and some people don't. And I think that when we come back to the business side of it, that is very much like, well, did you do your homework? How many of our parties have you been to?
Right.
So if you haven't and you send me a demo and then I'm going, it's not what we're looking for, and then you're asking, well, what kind of stuff is it that you're looking
That's
for?
your job to fucking...
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had I had a guy, a friend that I've met a couple times, but he wanted to do dinner with me. He's a veteran, retired Green Beret. He wants to start DJing. He's already been DJing. Great musical knowledge. And I sat down and I said, you know, well, what do you want to do, man? He said, well, I want to pay my bills by DJing. And I said, okay, that's a broad stroke. I said, do you want to do weddings? And he's like, fuck no, I don't want to do weddings. And that's okay, right?
Yes.
And I basically said to him, do you want to spread your butt cheeks or do you not want to spread your butt cheeks? Because you got to decide that straight away. And again, it goes back to, if you just want to be a guy that plays deep house 1 hour every quarter or whatever that is,
Yeah.
then that's okay. You know what I mean? And I think it all comes down to who you are and what you want to do and where you want to go with it. And, you know, if you can't understand the nuances of how much a guy like you has at stake to put on a party like that, probably not going to fit in the wheel, right? I mean, probably, or at least being open to hearing what the business side of things, or at least being open to hearing how you're fucking up by not understanding. You know what I mean? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, you are. I mean, like I said, you know, it's like we attract a crowd that know the music. You know, I look at it kind of like, it's like the McDonald's effect. You know what you're getting from there. They've done really well with their brand.
Sure.
You know, as in, you know what a Big Mac tastes like. If you went to a McDonald's and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we changed a Big Mac.
Or a
you would
Burger
be
King
kind
in
of
Italy
like,
that has regular yellow mustard and American pickles. So
okay, but
You're making a great point,
So there,
yeah.
that fantastic point right there. It wasn't what you expected from what you were expecting,
Right.
because that's what you would normally expect from that brand.
for sure.
So if that brand is then off, you're kind of questioning it a little bit,
Right.
and that's because they've done a really good job of consistency with their brand.
Continuity, yeah, consistency, continuity.
And I feel that, you know, it's a different thing than what we do, but I think that that's because we are with the label first. You know, the parties are an extension to the label. So it has to be that marriage. And if we're all of a sudden going like, oh, let's do a dubstep show, I'm way out of my depth. You know, it's like I have no idea what I would be talking about, who I'd be listening to, anything.
So do you ever? Oh, my bad. I didn't mean
No,
to
go
interrupt
on.
you.
No,
So do you ever feel like picking, you know, necessarily one lane or, you know, having that brand identity, whatever that means? Do you feel like that ever handcuffs you? Do you ever want to get outside of that box and try other things? Like, I know obviously open format probably wouldn't be your vibe, but I mean,
Sure.
You know, do you have the desire to step outside that 128 techno thing and build other, you know, off brands of Resound, or is it just, you know?
So, I mean, as far as the label goes, we'll release anything that will go from like 118 BPM going through to like probably 128. So like, and I will play sets that will go from like 118 through to 128 if it's like a, you know, 4, 5, 6 hour long set.
Damn, you do 5 hour sets?
Yeah.
Fuck
yeah.
me, bro. I mean, I do
actually
3 hour
like
sets.
doing long sets because I feel, especially doing house music, and if you can retain a crowd doing that, you can start going into some tracks where you might be like, yeah, I think that I can test the water a little bit with some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't happen that often, and I feel especially with the kind of music that I play, it kind of lends to being able to do that a little bit. It's interesting where you said like, is it good to stay in your lane? You know, I watched the podcast that you did with Ben, you know, and Ben.
Thanks for watching.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
It's like Ben again has done like a fantastic job of his brand, his identity. But then the music that he does, you know, people come to him because they know the music that they're getting.
Yeah.
And yes, he does go a little bit left and a little bit right, like every DJ does, you know. But you're not going to see Ben and then all of a sudden he's going to be throwing like a 45-minute surprise drum and bass.
Right. You know what you're getting into,
Yeah,
and that's why you
exactly.
signed up for it, is because you like that. Yeah.
But that's because that's his passion and that's what he loves playing. So that's the sound that he gravitates towards, just like what I gravitate towards and what some other house DJs do. And what Ben does is very different to what I play. But then I've seen the crowds that he plays to and they love it.
Yeah.
So he crushes it, you know? And that's just another great example of someone that has just put the blinkers on, you know? And
I call it a purist. I'm like the same way. I'm just like, I'm different about being purist about like pizza and sports and different shit, right? And like, I really respect that. I really respect that you can pick this lane and you're like, okay, this is the lane and I'm going to do everything this way. Like when I jump on the turntables, I try to take it as far as I can left, so where people like literally they stop their night and they're like, where the fuck is this guy gonna go with this, right? And then somehow it comes together, whether it's wordplay or whether it's, you know, an acapella over an instrumental or something like that. So I mean, I really love hearing about it because I'm so far the other direction where it's just like there's no rules and there's no, you know, ring the fucking bell. Let's have a good time. But I love playing house music. I love the challenge of opening for a bigger act. Like that's a lot of the stuff I've been getting. Is, you know, we know that you're gonna come in here. We know you're not gonna smoke fucking you know, W&W fist pump remixes from 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're gonna make it dope. And that's what I actually understand and I love about house music, is that you have usually right now a short burst of time, an hour, you know, something like that to get it off. And if you can make it dope, you really make an impact on the people that were there at the spot.
Absolutely. And then you know, like I said, it's like with the ability to sometimes do the sets that you know, the extended sets, or you know, I recently just, you know, done like a stint of gigs in Europe, and it was, you know, nice to do some longer sets there to a crowd that are like, I don't know anyone there, you know, so it's just like nice to be able to kind of go on a journey and you know, again, crate dig, you know, for me that's the crate digging around like what works in my arsenal that's going to really get this crowd involved, you know, because it's that's what I still love. You know, I'm that's why I'm still as passionate about this music now to what I was when I heard that mixtape, like in 1991. And I don't think that that's slowing down at all. You know, and it's kind of like that's why you still see these greats, like your Carl Coxes that are like.
I've seen him recently. Jesus, bro. That Body Language show, like
Yes,
where Boris Brecha played.
Yeah,
That fucker put
yeah.
on a clinic, dude.
Yeah.
That was like going to church, bro. I
Yes.
mean, I've been a fan of Cox, but
Yeah.
pause. But I've been a fan of Carl Cox for a long time, and bro, he fucking lit a fire under my ass again. That it's just like that's why we
Yeah.
do it, bro. That's what's
That's
up.
why we do it.
Yeah.
If you haven't read his book,
I haven't.
Really good.
Okay.
Really good. Yeah, it's a great insight to just him and his entire career. And the interesting thing with him is that he started as a DJ, as in sound systems. Hiring out sound systems, being that DJ that was like, pretty much a wedding DJ, and just doing what he could, and then, ended up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's cut his teeth in doing it, and again, he learned the business, and I think that's it. He's ingrained into the business of it, and I think that's something that is just hard to teach. You have to spend time doing it to maybe get burnt a couple of times.
Yeah.
To learn
Pay
why.
for your education. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then like we talked about, it's like I know that you've got an extensive knowledge in hip hop and other music, where you could sit with someone and probably dig out records where you will get excited about teaching that person about this stuff that they've never heard before.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that only comes from experience.
Yeah.
So
do you find when you go and you do these European or UK whichever gigs, do you? Okay, let me rephrase the question. So now a lot of younger people don't know the older records that I have knowledge of, right? So like,
Okay.
let's say I put on like a Motorcycle as the Rush Comes, or an Ayla or something like that, some type of remix of like an old banger, right?
Yeah,
Do you find that the over the pond people respond to more electronic stuff, since I feel like it has been ingrained longer in the culture over there? Or do you feel like because the younger people here aren't picking up on older records, in my opinion? Like, do you feel that, like, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm older and I feel like the UK and most of Europe has always had dance music, where over here it's been a fight to get to dance music.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's almost like there's a part of history and the knowledge of these records missing. Like, if I'll play a banger, oh, what was that? And I'm like,
Yeah.
you haven't heard that before?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
do you feel like it's better over there than it is over here? Or do you feel like it's the same across the board?
I would say culturally it is very ingrained into the just everyday life, in Europe, and there is some big factors as to why that is. I would say one of the biggest ones in the UK is Radio 1. Radio 1 has
Tong,
always
Andy
been,
Nightingale, all that shit.
you've got all of these DJs that have like, you've had the Essential Mix, you've had like, Pete Tong
Judge
doing
Jules,
his thing,
yeah.
Judge Jules, Dave Pearce doing like, the bangers. Now it's Danny Howard doing that,
Love Danny
so
Howard.
it's like,
Yeah.
these DJs are still doing the Essential Mixes. Yeah, Annie Nightingale that was doing like her stuff, and then so yeah, you've had the music that's just been on national radio. There hasn't ever been that in the US.
Right.
It's just been like your
Top 40
college
hip
top
hop.
40 hip hop and stuff like that. So a national radio station like pushing forward like new music, constantly pushing new music.
Yeah.
But then you've also got like a generation now of kids that are coming through whose parents were the original ravers.
Yeah.
So they're now like 17, 18, 19 years old, and they've just grown up listening to house music or, so they're now retweaking and re-editing these tracks that they heard when they were kids, that you're like the Motorcycle, the Rush Comes In, all this kind of stuff. They're the ones making these edits that you're hearing like these like DJs playing now.
And they're putting their
and they're
twist.
like, they're putting their twist on it now, which I think is great.
Yeah.
We're literally going back to that sample era, of which was like, early Public Enemy, early house music, like early hip hop was samples.
Yeah.
But clever sampling. And that was the same with early Prodigy, early all of these guys were just sampling.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing. It's the same kind of thing.
Fatboy Slim. I mean, I love all that older stuff, man.
Yeah,
It's still
yeah.
Fatboy Slim's still on my bucket list of people to see. It's coming up soon. But,
Yeah.
But yeah, I love all that old music, man. I my journey with that was there was an album called Electronica Volume 1, and it was sold at like a Sam Goody or something. It had like the Crystal Method, BT, all these older, who else, man? I mean, just tons of old shit. And I had the same kind of reaction as you. How do I get more of this,
Yeah.
And then Fatboy Slim, that came out. And I was always listening to the Chicago house guys, Bad Boy Bill and all the B96 guys. And, house music's in my blood. But it's interesting how it's played out now. I mean, it's gone from smaller backroom type of situations, 1,500 to these big festivals that, Thomas and Relentless and all these guys are putting on. And it's really cool to see in a lot of ways. Like, all the I just saw Afrojack not too long ago. And I mean, most people are like, man, whatever. But like, dude, that was a killer set. Just all the visuals, the fire, everything. It was like watching Metallica, but now in a new, you know what I mean? So
it's almost like right now because again, you've got that with like Afterlife, like the Afterlife shows, like what those guys have done now is really taken like a melodic sound in electronic music that was, very underground when they first started coming out. And now it's like you've got people that are like, I'm going to go watch these guys, and there's this like massive screen, and it's like they don't even, it's like, oh, you're going to an Afterlife show, and they're like, yeah, I think it's an Afterlife show. So, but they've just nailed their branding to the point where it's just like, you see these visuals, and like, it's the one where like, they're hitting the screen, and it's like
pre-recorded.
It's
it's an experience.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it's an
But
experience.
that's it now. It's like that to me it's an experience.
Right.
You're going for that experience. Like Holo, you're going Eric Prydz Holo.
Yeah.
For the experience
Visuals.
of the visuals and everything.
Right.
You wouldn't go to Holo, and if there was no visuals,
to hear him mix.
The music is kind of somewhat secondary to the spectacle that it is. And I feel that we're going to start seeing an emergence again of a separation between clubs and that, and people wanting that club thing, no visuals,
music.
lighting, heads down, get immersed. The DJ's there, but the DJ doesn't have to be the center of attention.
Sure.
The music is great sound system, good lighting. You're going for that, and it's like you being a resident DJ. Doing what you're doing, you set the stage for what goes on in your venues.
Right.
And that's an important thing that I feel is moved out of the house culture a little bit, but I think will come back in, or at least I hope it does, because I feel that the resident DJs stamp some sound within the clubs
and validity.
You would go to that club. Remember, like Twilo in New York, like people go there for the music, you know. So
I never really thought about that. That's interesting, man. I didn't think about that. Back in the day, if you had a resident DJ, like, I mean, shoot, you're talking about New York. You had a Frankie Bones, or you had even a Sasha and Digweed, or one of those things back in the day. I mean, that was the spot that, and they were going there less for the club and more for the DJ, and it kind of disappeared a little bit.
Yeah, it has. Whereas now it's kind of like from one week to the next, it could be different music, total different sounds. So you're not going week in, week out. So it's a little bit harder now to have that community, and that's why we've tried to build that. Kind of going back to what we do, we've been trying to build that based around that. When you do come to our parties, it's going to be somewhat.
You know what you're getting into.
What you're getting.
And I think you guys do a great job. I really do. I think you guys do a great job of not being pretentious with your events and not being exclusive, and I mean that in a positive way. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
Does it ever? Yeah, you're welcome. Does it ever become hard for you to not? Because sometimes it's difficult. You know, I align myself with certain people, but I'm also a pirate. I'm a lone ranger. You know, and it's not always easy to stand on your own 2 feet and you know, tell the world your direction and where you're going.
Sure.
Do you ever feel that pressure to not align with you know, different brands? Won't you know, and remain kind of solo and kind of be an ambassador to all those people as a culture? I mean, you know, do you ever see yourself aligning Resound with a bigger brand and kind of not blending, but you know?
I mean, I'm very fortunate that I get to play for Relentless within Arizona.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Same.
you know, I know you do too. You know, Thomas has come a very good friend of you know, for me, and I know he's a great friend of yours as well.
Absolutely.
You know, I appreciate and respect what he does as a business, and you know, I also know, because I know him personally, where he aligns with what he listens to music wise and the music that he's passionate about himself. You know, Relentless is it is, you know, it's a massive entity now. So he is now promoting for, you know, multiple different genres of music, because that is where it needs to be. For me to get bigger, I see it's around that I want to stay true to what we do with the label, and I'm happy with where we are. And you know, every year we get growth, and we meet new people, and we have new fans, and we have new people come to the community that feel welcome. You know, it's like you said, we're doing the Adeline and doing the pool parties this year. It's been great to see, and I'm sure you see this as well, where you see people come to what you put on, and then 3-4 months down the line, you maybe see them on socials hanging out in a different environment.
Sure.
And you're like, they met through what you've done. So you're doing a good environment there, because people are feeling that they're welcome, and people are embracing each other, and they're there for the same. Yeah, you know, it's their introduction, and we've seen that happen, you know, over and over again. Kind of going back to, you know, with Thomas, you know, it's like I love working with Relentless, and you know, they've given me some fantastic opportunities. I don't see myself as a promoter in the respect that I just want to start booking X DJ, because that is what they do, and they're great at doing it. And I would bring an artist if they're part or an affiliate with my label. So that's why it's like Resound Music and friends that we do with the party, because it's people that we know, or but you know, it's not, I'm just kind of thinking this person's gonna explode soon, we need to bring them.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
You know, in that aspect, I had the great working relationship with Thomas and the guys in the office, that, you know, I talk to them regularly around like new artists or people that I'm like, you need to, if this person's not on your radar, they need to be on your radar, you know, and it's great to have that mutual respect coming both ways, that I feel that we plug into the greatest scene within Arizona as a whole. You know, we are a bit of that jigsaw puzzle of what Arizona is.
Yeah.
You know, but what we're doing is a different bit of the jigsaw to what they're doing, to what someone else is doing.
And you can't take that personal, and you know, sometimes, I mean, I take things personal, and I realize, oh, that doesn't fit this type of scenario. You know, the thing that kills me a lot of times is that, you know, the consumer, or even some of the people that don't have as much experience with the business side of things, you know, they see something online, or they see this you know, court of public opinion, and they say these things, and it's kind of like, man, it's unfortunate that you see it that way, because I see, you know, a guy or a company or a group of people that are trying to uplift an entire group of people, right? And that's a different set of it's a different pressure than, you know, trying to get in as a DJ, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's like they say these things, but they don't really understand, you know, what it takes to make a decision for the whole community versus, you know. it's a little tough to hear some of those things, but I think you guys do a great job of, not being exclusive, not being pretentious, and kind of welcoming. I know a gal that started DJing, and I saw her on a flyer for you, and I was like, man, that's fucking amazing. She just started, and she's got an opening slot, and it's really cool. That it's a good feeling. Huh?
For me, it's when the pretentious side of things is an easy way of deterring people to want to come to the parties that you're doing. I didn't get into electronic music by listening to an Aphex Twin album
for sure.
and going that this sounds great, what a great introduction. I don't think anyone is going to like the most left of center weird electronic music for their entry into it.
Right.
Everyone has got an entry point. So if people come to our parties, it's like, for me, and they've never been before, it's like, try what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You might like it, you might not, but this is what we're about. So and I feel that as soon as we stop doing that is when we'll just stop doing parties,
for sure. Part of what I'm into is the same type of thing. I mean, people come up, hey man, I expected you to be a douche, kind of, because you're the Scottsdale dude or whatever. Great compliment, I think. But also what I do, and anything I stamp my name on is going to be organic. It's going to be welcoming. And I'm proud of that, and
so you should be.
Yeah.
Why would you do it if you weren't proud of it?
That's a great question.
and I think that again, reverts back to the whole, why do you want to start DJing? Do you want to do it for the right reasons? Would you be starting another hobby for the reasons that you're just like, this feels like something that I really want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Not to the point where it's like, I want to do it because I want to be like playing in front of 20,000 people. That should naturally progress.
Right.
That shouldn't be your starting point. Your starting point should just be that I love music. I would love to be able to do something for myself, and be proud of doing a mixtape. It's like, and then go to the car and play it and be like, this is terrible. I need to try again.
That's every record I've ever made, but
it's like, even from the DJ point of view, it's like you learn. It's just like you listen to it, and then like 3 months you'll go back and listen. Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
And then 6 months down the line, you'll be better than you were 3 months ago.
Sure.
And then and the progression.
I just told this dude that. He's like, well, I want to make tunes. I said, okay, you got to make a pile of shit, and then you got to figure out how to put lipstick on the pile of shit. And
Absolutely.
It's like, that's going to take you 10 years to get there, but maybe not. Maybe you learn faster. But yeah, I mean, it's everybody. I feel like, I just had this conversation. Okay, well, how do I learn Ableton? Well, everything's at your fingertips. You got YouTube. You don't even have to take a course anymore. You know what I mean? How do I do this? Okay, buy a $400 controller. Now you're making mixtapes in your living room. Lean on your friends. You get an opening gig. Lean on your friends. Like, have those people come out. But anyways, man, I could sit here and chat business with you all night long.
Yeah, same.
What's new coming up for you? What are you putting out? What are you getting after in the next year, maybe into 2024? What are you looking for?
So we have label releases lined up for the rest of the year. Next release comes out next week that I'm really happy about because it's probably our biggest release of the year. I was fortunate enough to get a remix by Anthony Papa and this guy Jamie Stevens that are both like, Anthony is just like one of those legendary progressive house guys. He's been touring the world for years and years. Did Global Underground CDs. He's
I still got some of those Global Undergrounds.
So, I mean, they're making a comeback.
Are they?
Yeah. Tenaglia is doing the next one.
Yeah. See, I'm an old head like that, man. I like that. I mean, fuck, I know Thomas is a big Sasha and Digweed fan, stuff like that. It's crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off because I just went to see Bad Boy Bill and Richard Vision last week with my guy Kush, and bro, I mean, the first 30 minutes of the set, I felt like I was fucking 16 years old, dude. He's playing Booty House, and it's just like, don't discount these old cats, man. These older heads are still crushing it,
Absolutely. But the whole, what you just said there, it's what they did instilled that feeling into you. Mm-hmm. That's what you do week in, week out, is what you do at the Hot Chick. It's like there'll be moments where you make people's nights with like a certain track that you drop and stuff like that. That's what we do. You know, we're not brain surgeons. You know, we're not saving people's lives. You know, we're
You're right.
literally entertaining people and, you know, giving them some relief from the day-to-day stress.
Yeah.
And that to me is what's like the most important thing around like, come to our party, switch off. Don't come down and, you know, leave everything at the door. You know, that's what house music's always been about. It's like, it's when you could be talking to someone and you're both there because you like the music.
Yeah.
You could be from total different walks of life, but it's that music that's brought you together.
That's literally why I love house music. I mean, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. All people of all different types of shapes, sizes, races, you know, genders. Everyone fucking was playing Booty House in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody was listening to B96 on Friday, Saturday nights, and it just brought. It was a way that was like, fuck, man, you like house music? That's pretty cool. I didn't know you like house music, and now you're friends with somebody that.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean, through the label, through the parties that we've been doing, we've had some great opportunities, and I've had some great opportunities to meet some like, you know, long-term idols within the industry, and you know they've lived up to the hype, and you know they're just like genuinely down to earth great people, and that's probably why they've had such longevity in the music industry, because you know they're humbled, you know, they're humbled with what they do, and they appreciate, but they still have that passion and drive for like looking for new music and finding new things and working with new people. And so yeah, you know, we're really lucky to have these two guys on the label, and then they've remixed a track by these two guys, DeBeat and Camila Saclamenti, that are both from South America, and again just crush it within their sounds individually and then together. And then from there we've got like a few other bits and pieces. I've got a couple of things that I've got coming out as well. So yeah, that's what's happening there with the parties. We've got kind of a few things going on. October's like a busy month for me. I've got Sound in LA at the start of the month with Ellie and Fur, and then day after that Gold Rush, which I'm really looking forward to. I know you guys are involved.
Are you
in
playing that?
as well? Yeah. So I'm playing the
Dope.
house stage on that. So yeah, excited for that as well. Week after that, San Diego, and then Tijuana, and then fly to Playa del Carmen for some stuff down there.
Shit, I might come with you. I might get in
yeah.
the suitcase, brother.
Yeah, I need to keep this Arizona tan. This is the best tan that I've ever had, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah. Normally I'm like, I normally have that studio tan going on.
For sure.
You know,
I just turned
yeah.
shades of red, various shades of
Yeah,
red. So
yeah.
Trying to cover it up here.
Yeah. So yeah, and then doing like a live stream in Tulum, and then come back here, and then the Body Language Halloween party. So
Okay.
I've just been added to that. So yeah, looking forward to doing that.
That's
on a
exciting. It's
Friday.
going to be a good show.
Yeah, and then going back to Europe in December, November, going to do, you know, got some dates around the States, and then going back to Europe for December. So when
That's
it's
cool,
gonna be
man.
really cold.
Yeah. Man, you just keep going, man. You're, like I said, I really respect the shit out of you, and you know, you've always been cool with me whenever we meet up in the club.
No, I appreciate it. It's like I you know, with what you do, we're in very different lanes, but we do the same thing, and it's the passion.
Yeah.
And I think that is the same with every creative. It's like you have this kind of like, you know, nod of like, I see what you're doing,
For
and
sure.
I respect what you're doing. You know, even if it's way off what you do, you
Game
got
recognized game, as they say.
Exactly. And the thing that I like about Arizona and the culture here is that the people that you know are doing well, they also are doing that as well.
Yeah,
You
and they
know.
work really hard. They know that this is not easy. I know that
Yeah.
every time you put on an event, I know that you mobilize a group of people to get your vision across. And you know, if I could give any one piece of advice to any of the younger people trying to come up, it's be like this guy, be like me, be like Steve, believe in Steve. But at the end of the day, build the community, build the culture, create culture, you know, create kindness.
Yeah.
You know,
talk to your peers, ask them questions, ask them the right questions,
Right.
It's like, for me, that's like so important, it's like, don't just fanboy, look at it like it is a business. If you want to be part of a business, then make sure that you are the asset, like you said, you are someone that people want to work with.
Right.
And I feel that that's just like, it's so important now within this industry, because it gets harder and harder and harder. Everyone's got everything at the click of everything now.
Right.
We're in that TikTok generation now where it's like, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next, so it's like...
But focus on one thing and perfect that thing and bring it to fruition.
Yeah, so you cut through the white noise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. Like I said, I could sit here and chop it with you all night long. We usually do about an hour. I really appreciate you. I really respect you. I love you, man. I appreciate you coming through my house and doing this.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to drop those socials and all the shit at the bottom of the screen right now so you can follow my guy. Please go out and support this man. Everything he's doing is wonderful.
And go out and support this man as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Episode 5, please leave the DJ alone. Another one coming at you. Thank you guys for watching this shit. We don't know who's watching, so leave us a comment. Tell us who you want to see next. Tell us what you're trying to get into, and I'm going to do my best to get it to you. Once again, thank you, Michael Hooker. I'm Slippy. Peace out, bitches.